All right, y'all, let's get into the Great Tribulation and part 2 opening up right now and go over a few things because we've seen a couple trailers per se showing for that part 2. And the part 2 is going to be coming in full release and the part 1's being wrapped up in full and those types of things. So as all these things are overlapping, we have a couple overlaps with a woman clothed in the sun. And on 9/23 marked the 7-year anniversary of the woman clothed in the sun as far as in the space and the skies and the stars or whatever. And then at 9:23 UTC time, 2:23 Eastern time, that's when the Polaris Dawn launched. That's the dawn going with the dawn and replacing the light before the 9/23 day. Okay, so as these things are crossing over, and we see the Polaris Dawn launch is also on the same day that Dawn is speaking with Kamala, who's the moon, who he already went behind on that first debate, and now he's coming out from her, okay, and the light's changing, and this is where the Polaris Dawn, that Elon Musk is coming on and taking on that type of light. The Kamala is coming on, taking and shining her own light, and the dawn is turning into the dark dawn, that dark light, and those types of things, okay? So he's just coming around and going into a new time zone. But while he does that, he has to go under the tunnel and all these other things, okay? So this 9/23 date of the woman clothed in the sun up there, all right, that transfer kind of took place, and we're seeing things happen as this second stage is shown and the trailers are put on. So the calm before the storm that Trump mentioned on 10/5/2017, well, we're on that 7-year anniversary, including or not including the day, takes us to 10/4, beep, 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 alarm day last year, National Alarm Practice Day, and then 10/5. Okay, so these two dates are lining up to the speaker 119 going out, then the national alarm, and speaker coming in, that custom mic, all those little different things, okay? So when, not to get too much into it on that side, we're just going to keep it on these little commercials that we've been seeing for the trailers, okay? The dawn going behind the cloud and those types of things, we can expect the dawn to be taken out. We can expect all these maybe first stage people to be taken out in a way, okay? And we see a whole new set brought in. This is where we see the stopping of the rain, as far as the election and all those types of things. We'll see how the dawn plays the cards, but just to let y'all know, these time frames of the woman clothed in the sun and the dawn coming as the king, and then the peace deal, the world shut down, the stars shone, all these things happen 3.5 years later, and now you're at that 3.5 year later mark, and all this weird shit is going on. And then so let's tie these things in, because we've been talking about a port strike and the subs going and all these other things, okay? So now recently we're seeing in China, their sub they've been working on, it sank yesterday. And then we're seeing the port strikes being talked about on the East Coast and in the Gulf. It's going to be 45,000 plus workers that can disrupt this, that, and the other supply chain. And that'd be disrupting the truckers and all those other things on the flip-flop and the gas and whatever else, okay? Because this would be like a self-implosion. It's also the Antichrist and the anti, they're staying on that old mound and that kind of thing going on, and that's where they're part of that old mound, and they're trying to keep the new mound from happening and all those types of things. But so the port strike, the government shutdown, those are kind of all going on the same time frame. You have the Hezbollah strike that was live on TV. I've been telling you there's going to be live gore events and these live events or whatever. We've seen the live political figure getting hit in the head with a chair a couple weeks back. But this Hezbollah strike on TV, Israel bombing Lebanon, and these things are a replay of that, bringing it into that home birth. And we've been seeing this person is Israel spy here and there or whatever. So They're setting up the free versus the bond, the spies, and all that kind of thing. We've seen Jill sitting in on a meeting for Biden. All right, this is part of that Jacked and Jill. And then the Dr. Fauci replay in one way. And this could be where the woman has changed from one to the other, because on part one we're shown one woman and on the other we're shown another woman. But we can see that kind of interference going on. And then we see the COVID home test being released again. The UN on 9/22 before the 9/23 date released their Brighter Future stuff, and this can be tied to the church. You already hear them doing their fearmonger videos, saying it's the New World Order ID and all this other stuff, when the New World Order is that government of Jesus under one unity, under one government, or one world. Okay, so we've seen the UFO shot down by Canadian last year that's just now being released. We've seen we've seen various UFO stuff released the past couple weeks. Eric Adams, that's tied to the Black Adams, and he's in the Gracie Mansion. That's part of the Graceland, and it's also ties to the Royce Gracie. That's the Rolls Royce, and then the Hoist Gracie. But that's tied to the UFC and the Dana White and those types of things. And then Orion Glasses has been released, and this is part of the new future where you're going to have your computer and whatever else. Like on here, it's the man merged with the machine is just like where you're wearing the machine kind of thing. It's not like where they're actually implanting or whatever, right? I would think the Neuralink and all that shit or whatever, I think that's kind of fake stuff or whatever. Me personally, I'd have to see that in person to believe that kind of thing. Either way, Hurricane Helena, the Hell-ena, that's like going from one lake of fire to another lake of fire, and from the spiritual to the carnal. And then that's also where the Helena, where the Day Satan is, and the Matt Gates of Hell that we've discussed many times, and it's also hitting that top line of that can opener section on Florida. The Diddy is being opened up, and that white throne judgment in one way, shape, or form. And then for the part 3, I would expect Diddy and Epstein to kind of overlap with each other, and then that's when the Don and whoever else comes out. Well, I had to do these things. I was under deep cover or whatever, right? So, and the deep cover ties to the darkness upon the deep. So, and then we see gates. That would be part of the gates of hell, the hell and whatever, but Bill Gates is talking about a different tax structure and whatever else, but the virus EEE, that kind of thing, mosquitoes passing diseases, all these things are setting up the part 2 and part 3 for like next spring and summer and whatever else, that where I've been a little bit ahead of the game. Okay, I've basically been telling y'all all the things that's as they're cracking open, but all the things we're basically waiting for is that final 4 time frame, and you're in the final 4 time frame, and the final 6 months before that cracks open, those 3 years we've been waiting on. Okay, so the fun's just beginning, and we've seen Kamala support crypto, and we've seen Don support crypto, and he's even he's starting a finance crypto company or whatever. The storms that we're going to be seeing are going to be like ones we haven't seen in the past for the next few years as we come in and reshape this earth. Okay, so it could be possible that things are taken from the cloud or whatever. Okay, so you may want to download your stuff off the cloud if you have anything of importance or there or whatever. That could be part of where they take stuff out, but they don't take it out, or they're working in like an overlay of the old and new. So the toxic air leak in Ohio on the train, we've seen this air leak over here, and now this one was a toxic air leak. This one wasn't toxic. Okay, so this is the little flip-flops that we're seeing and how the crunch on these are going. So the Hitler speeches are being released in English, and if you're listening to those, well, they sound a lot like Trump or a lot like these politicians that you're following. So instead of that 5-year plan, they're doing the 50, 60-year plan to make sure you fucking love it. And y'all love it, okay? So y'all got that Stockholm syndrome. So these are just a few. Oh, Biden, he met with a UAE leader, all right? And that connects us to the water god, and this connects to the beast of the sea as far as carnal representation. When aliens pop off here, okay? When aliens come, so-called, or disc over everything or whatever, we could actually see a CGI event of a beast of a sea coming out, like a Godzilla thing, or a beast of the earth coming out, and where you have to have the military or Space Force going in and fighting these big creatures or whatever bullshit, okay? So that would be kind of like your blue, like the disc and the aliens are real, but that sea monster or whatever is not real, okay? So that would be kind of that cross-reference of what they're telling us about the blue beam or whatever. But then everybody's going to believe the monster, but they're not going to believe the UFO kind of thing, okay? So either way, just a little side note on that. But there have been a bunch of UFO stuff going on, so we'll see where all that goes soon enough. And then let me make sure the baby oil that connects to the man-child in one way for the Diddy stuff, and the baby oil for the ports and transportation, that transport to take us from one time to another. Those portals, the ills, the IL. That's the 11, the 47 before you. So your medicines, the met-acen, that medicine can go with these transports. Your diapers, baby formulas, all these things can be taken out. And then you have a real crapshoot on your hands in different levels, okay? And we've seen that the Pukano come out in China, blasting shit out of the sewer. It's part of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming to life. All right, that's the TT and the NM for the Montana and the New Mexico and these types of things. So we're about to be taken in through a portal, and the people, they're about to do it to us in one way, shape, or form. The people are going to do it to themselves in one way, shape, or form. It's already been done. 80% have already gone and gathered. So you just need this, then that, and the other to direct the extras. And they're going to be called to action, the ACTION. So the 10-4 alarm hits on the 7-year anniversary of the calm before the storm. And Trump said there's no storm coming. It's draining the swamp. Elon carried the sink to transport those sink waters. All those things. So the X-Files, the Twitter, the little bird talking in your ear, the Twitter, the parrots. All these things are coming. Okay? I thought I saw a putty cat. I did. Well, yeah. I'm about to be locked in the cage with the old putty cat. Either way, the calm before the storm right now, and Helena has struck, and she hit the old neighborhood of Day Satan, and we got couple other hurricanes lined up right after, bam after bam. All right, and I think there's actually one headed for around 10-5 time frame. Either way.